Welcome back, friends, to week 4 of our PCT trek, where things take a drastic turn. This week I head out solo on the trail for the first time while Josh heads back home to Bend to spend some time at the Rendezvan event in Mount Bachelor and pick up his house and Dottie to bring back south. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, though. Our week started off where the last one finished, in Big Bear. We woke up and packed our things, leaving our hotel early and spending the morning hanging out around town, awkwardly filming a Q&A video and waiting for my aunt and uncle to pick us up. When they arrived, we loaded up where they took us down to their house in Riverside, where we would spend the next couple of days before Josh's flight back to Bend.
While we were in Riverside, Gary and Kathy, Laura's aunt and uncle, were amazing hosts, taking us around the area, down to the beach, and generally showing us an amazing time. This is unfortunately where my time in California came to an end, for the time being at least. An early Wednesday morning, Kathy took me down to LAX where I breezed through security and awaited my flight back to Bend.
After dropping Josh off at the airport, Kathy and I went to check out the Getty, an amazing art museum in LA. I would highly recommend checking it out if you ever get the chance. The next morning, we left Riverside early, and Gary and Kathy dropped me off back at the I-18 intersection around 9 a.m. I was excited to get back on trail, but definitely nervous to be heading out on my own, and without much of a plan for the day, I headed off. Eventually, I found camp in a cool but kind of foggy spot. It was weird setting up camp alone, but thankfully another hiker ended up near me and we spent the evening chatting. Friday morning, I woke up to a chilly morning with ice on my tent. Without having Josh here, I definitely didn't get moving as early as normal, but hit the trail by about 7 to start hiking. The morning stayed chilly and foggy, but I hiked on through a beautiful pine forest, stopping to take in the view and doing my best to take videos for Josh along the way. Finally, I found camp next to a beautiful creek. It was weird as there was no other campers nearby, and it was my first night fully alone. I made the mistake of reading some far-out comments from a nearby camp that mentioned a mountain lion sighting, but don't worry, I wasn't eaten. The next day was marked by a ton of blowdowns, and I spent most of the day hiking through brush and bramble until I reached some beautiful bridges crossing over the Deep Creek Canyon. The rest of the day followed along the canyon and eventually led me to cross the 300-mile marker. That evening, I camped beneath a rainbow bridge with a few other hikers. I had thought about stopping at the hot springs a couple miles before, but it was hot and crowded, so I kept on and enjoyed this camp way more. Sunday was a beautiful day, and I started by sleeping in a little, knowing Gary and Kathy were coming with a resupply only about 4 miles away. I hiked for a ways and met up with them for a quick lunch at IHOP before getting back on trail and finding a beautiful creek to rest at around midday. And then I hiked a ways further and found a nice camp for the night. Meanwhile,
Meanwhile, while Laura was enjoying this new part of her adventure, my week shifted drastically as I headed back to Bend. My parents picked me up Wednesday afternoon from the Redmond airport and took me home to my dog and my house. I spent some time catching up with them before taking off into a whirlwind of a weekend. My weekend and reason for flying home was Rendezvan, a springtime celebration of van life and skiing hosted by Mount Bachelor, which I'm lucky enough to MC for each year. I spent my weekend here catching up with friends, enjoying some beverages, skiing laps around the mountain, and overall having a good time. Rendezvan came to an end on Sunday, so I got some final laps in, then headed back down to town to begin the process of resupplying, hitting my local spots, and getting ready to drive back down to Cali and back down to Laura.
that's the end of this episode. Join us again next week when we both make our way to the town of Wrightwood, where Josh and Dottie join me in a new capacity to continue the journey north running support in the ambulance.
As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and follow for more.
And most importantly, our friends, do not forget to enjoy every day, y'all. Peace.